Siberia is a land of extremes, stretching across over 13 million square kilometers, encompassing tundra, taiga, steppe, and mountainous regions. It is a place where the silence of the frozen tundra meets the roar of mighty rivers like the Ob, Yenisei, and Lena. Cutting through vast landscapes unspoiled by time, Siberia accounts for a staggering 77% of Russia's landmass, but is home to fewer than 40 million people. Its sparse population underscores its reputation as one of the most remote and mysterious regions on Earth. Yet, behind its vast wilderness lies a story as expansive as the land itself. A tale of survival, conquest, resilience, and transformation. Siberia's history begins in the deep past, around 40,000 years ago during the Upper Paleolithic period, when Homo sapiens first ventured into its unforgiving landscapes. These early inhabitants were drawn to Siberia not for its comfort. Its climate was severe, marked by glacial conditions, but for its abundance of game. Woolly mammoths, bison, and reindeer roamed the tundra in massive herds, providing food, clothing, and materials for tools and shelter. Archaeological finds, such as those from the Yana rhinoceros horn site in northeastern Siberia, suggest that these ancient people were highly adaptable, crafting tools from bone and stone to survive the Ice Age. Among the most fascinating early Siberian cultures is the Malta Buret culture, located near modern-day Irkutsk and dating back approximately 24,000 years. This culture left behind enigmatic figurines carved from mammoth ivory, known as Venus figurines, which depict stylized female forms. Scholars debate their purpose. Were they fertility symbols, representations of deities, or something else entirely? These artifacts reveal not only the ingenuity of Siberia's early peoples, but also their spiritual connection to the natural world. Siberia's Ice Age inhabitants were also pioneers of migration. They crossed the Bering Land Bridge, a now submerged expanse of land that once connected Siberia to Alaska. This migration, beginning around 20,000 years ago, played a pivotal role in human history as these Siberian adventurers became the ancestors of indigenous peoples throughout the Americas. As the Ice Age waned and the climate warmed, new cultures emerged across Siberia. The southern steppes became fertile ground for nomadic civilizations. One of the earliest was the Scythians, who appeared around the first millennium BCE. Renowned for their horsemanship and skill in crafting gold, the Scythians were a powerful presence on the Siberian steppe. They left behind burial mounds called kurgans, many of which contained intricate gold artifacts, weapons, and even the preserved remains of their horses. These discoveries provide insight into a sophisticated culture that valued art, warfare, and the spiritual world. Farther north, in the forests and tundra, other groups thrived by adapting to their environments. Indigenous peoples like the Evenki, Khanty, and Nenets lived off the land, hunting, fishing, and herding reindeer. Their shamanic traditions, which remain alive to this day, centered on a deep reverence for nature. Shamans acted as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds, conducting rituals to ensure harmony with the environment. Siberia's location made it a crossroads for migration and trade. Nomadic empires, such as the Xiongnu and later the Huns, influenced its southern reaches. The rise of the Mongol Empire in the 13th century brought significant changes to Siberia. Under Genghis Khan and his successors, the Mongols incorporated much of Siberia into their vast empire, establishing trade routes that connected the region to Central Asia, the Middle East, and China. While the Mongols brought a degree of stability, Siberia remained a land of scattered communities rather than a unified territory. The turning point in Siberian history came in the 16th century, when the expanding Russian state set its sights on the region. Driven by a desire for resources and territorial expansion, Russian explorers and traders, led by the Cossacks, began venturing eastward. In 1581, Yermak Timofeyevich, a legendary Cossack leader, launched an expedition against the Khanate of Sibir. the primary Tatar state in western Siberia. His victory marked the beginning of Russia's colonization of Siberia. The conquest of Siberia was remarkably rapid. By the early 17th century, Russian forts and trading posts dotted the major rivers, facilitating the collection of yasak, a tribute paid by indigenous peoples in the form of furs. Furs were Siberia's most valuable resource, highly prized in European and Asian markets. The fur trade drove much of Russia's expansion into the region, but it also brought devastating consequences for the indigenous population. Violence, disease, and exploitation took a heavy toll, disrupting traditional ways of life. Despite these challenges, some indigenous groups managed to preserve their cultures, which today remain an integral part of Siberia's heritage. The 18th and 19th centuries saw Siberia's integration into the Russian Empire deepen. The discovery of gold and other minerals spurred migration, while Siberia also became infamous as a destination for exiles. Political prisoners, criminals, and dissidents were sent to Siberia, often to work in brutal conditions. Among these exiles were members of the Decembrist movement, who sought to reform the autocratic Russian government. Despite their hardships, many exiles contributed to Siberian society, introducing new ideas, technologies, and cultural practices. One of the most transformative developments in Siberian history was the construction of the Trans-Siberian Railway, begun in 1891 and completed in 1916. Spanning nearly 9,300 kilometers from Moscow to Vladivostok, the railway opened Siberia to settlement and economic development. Cities like Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, and Irkutsk grew rapidly, becoming hubs of industry and culture. The railway also facilitated the exploitation of Siberia's vast natural resources, including timber, coal, and oil. The Soviet era brought both industrialization and immense suffering to Siberia. Under Stalin's regime, millions were sent to gulags, forced labor camps where prisoners mined, logged, and built infrastructure in harsh and often deadly conditions. These camps were part of Stalin's efforts to transform Siberia into an industrial powerhouse. Major projects, such as the constructions of hydroelectric dams on the Yenisei and Angara rivers, reshaped the landscape and provided energy for Soviet industry. Despite the brutality of the Gulag system, Siberia played a crucial role in the Soviet Union's economic development. In the latter half of the 20th century, Siberia became a focal point for scientific research and exploration. The discovery of vast oil and gas reserves in western Siberia turned the region into a cornerstone of the Soviet economy. Meanwhile, environmentalists began to raise concerns about the impact of industrialization on Siberia's fragile ecosystems. The shrinking of the Aral Sea, deforestation, and pollution from mining and industry highlighted the need for sustainable development. Today, Siberia remains a land of contrasts. Its cities are centers of industry and innovation, while its vast wilderness continues to inspire awe. Indigenous peoples strive to preserve their traditions in the face of modernization. Climate change poses new challenges as rising temperatures threaten permafrost and disrupt ecosystems. Yet, Siberia's resilience, forged over millennia, offers hope. Its history is a testament to the strength of its people and the enduring power of its landscapes. Siberia is not just a region. It is a symbol of humanity's ability to adapt, endure, and thrive in the face of adversity.